And when we talk about value, generally in the lean world, we're talking about helping people to understand what is it they do that the customer is willing to pay for. So what do you do within your organization or an organization you've worked with to help your employees understand what customers, both internal and external, really value? And how do you help them to understand how they contribute to that value?
We became employee-owned, and the customers were the enemy. So we had a problem to overcome there. So we definitely had a cultural change to make. So we did three things. We brought customers to us, those who would come, and we put together a training program for our customers. We had folks walking through the factory as well as doing training about lighting, and our customers were architects and electrical engineers. But we encouraged the people out in the factory to do the tour themselves. So the customers were actually talking to folks in customer service, folks in accounting, folks out on the factory floor. And our folks were hearing directly from the customers. That was the first step we took. Second step we took was everyone had to travel, including folks out on the factory floor. So everyone had to travel to go meet customers. And the final thing we did was we would bring in our independent sales representatives with the sole purpose of giving our senior managers and all of our customer service folks and folks on the factory floor and the supervisors direct feedback about how good we were and how bad we were. So they would hear directly from the customers.
We have a January national sales meeting where we have a combination of independent reps and factory employee reps. They come in for 3 days. Our whole organization interacts with them. So that's one way to hear from the market. Secondly, everyone in the organization is required to visit dealers over time, even the factory. And we also have trade shows that a good chunk of our customer service staff, if not all of them, go, and they're there with the reps to meet the dealers. But probably the most important thing we do every other year is we run a national dealer meeting where all of our customers come in, over 300 people, and they come into the factory and they tour, they see the operation. We have an open forum. Our employees, we have a giant lobster bait because we're from Maine, so our employees really enjoy mingling with the customer. So that is on the external side. On the internal side, as we've gone down a lean journey, we always have a question, let's say 2 departments or 2 people just are having an argument or at loggerheads. We have a saying, is the customer willing to pay for that? Because any type of dissension or discord within your organization is muda, which is the Japanese word for waste. So it puts things into perspective for most. Is the customer willing to pay for that?
Part of it is training and education for everyone in the organization. No one is left out because there's a differentiation between the external customer and the internal customer. So there are, depending on the size of your organization, there are folks within the organization who never feel like they touch the customer. So that could be people in payroll, that could be people who process transactions in back office, it could be even some folks on the warehouse facilities. They don't see that same connection. I think by education and training to see the internal customer link and how it does affect the performance of a group or the company in general with the external customer, I think is very important. The other part is the resistance to change. Because in any organization, I've always done it this way. I feel comfortable in this environment. And now you introduce a new methodology or way. Again, it's a philosophy, a lifestyle, if you will. One of the things I heard from a CEO not too long ago on this is getting the message across that lean is not an acronym for, I say this right, less employees are needed. Because if they have that fear of if I eliminate non-value, eliminate things that don't value the customer, eliminate activities that I do, I might find myself out of a position. So I think the commitment from the organization, the assurance that we're in this for the long term and freeing up capacity to do other more productive things is the goal. I think you get the assurances, if you will, that the folks in the organization need to stay on the journey and keep it moving.
We use the term continuous improvement. And we have a lot of material handlers and people that aren't educated, and they heard lean and they think, okay, I'm going to lose my job. This is what this is all about. So we decided as a team that we would take a 10% pay cut throughout the whole company, and we would retain everybody's job. That was number one. And we took everyone through the training, gave them the tools and the concepts of Kaizen, work standardization, value stream, with the help of GBMP. In about 4 months, we got everybody up where they were in problem-solving teams and throughout the plant. Now we had to get our arms around what our customer, how can we help improve our customer satisfaction. And we implemented this system that we call the ISO hotline. And ISO, we dovetailed it in with our lean management. So we have it's a hotline that anybody in the company can call in. They get our operator and they just ask for the hotline.
So much of what lean is common sense when you break it down to its individual components. One of the things that we did to get the company started was I had little lunches with groups of employees, small groups, until I had had lunch with everybody in the building. On an individual level, a person in the manufacturing side or the assembly side might have a really common sense idea about how to make their job better. Like if you brought the raw material closer to my machine, I could produce more. That, as a standalone fact, that was a really good idea that the employee could introduce without understanding that really they are thinking in terms of lean. So we took this group of ideas that people gave me over lunch and then explained to them that in the bigger concept, they were in fact applying lean principles without understanding that that's what they were doing.